Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested in migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Well, today's video, we would like to talk about truck drivers. Now, since the I think it was September 2022 that the current government, the Labor government of Australia, has formed a job and skills summit, and then obviously they have created an entity or authority called Jobs and Skills Australia. Now, since then, the authority or the department or whatever that the entity that is trying to collect all the information in regards to the jobs that is lags, is still require in demand, and so on and so forth for the entire nation, and then categorize them into different states and area or regions. Well, I suppose this should be done by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, but I don't know why do they just elect another entity to actually do this. But anyhow, it was probably a year ago, we start to seeing this occupation which has never serviced in the entire migration industry for decades. Now, this occupation name truck drivers actually came out. Well, it's in shortage. The reason probably is just not many people wanted to be a truck driver, especially the truck driver usually do interstate truck driving. That's a very long hours, tiring, and obviously boring. And also you gotta understand the goods that it's carried within the trucks actually, whatever that is, it's gotta be valuable, and it required to be protected, insured, and a lot of these truck drivers, they probably don't last long, and they need more because the productions and the connectivity, again, it goes back to the general transportations that I think the government of Australia has failed for the past few decades, where the train, the railway, or should they have more of a high-speed rail to be connected, which could actually solve a lot of these so-called the truck driving required. I understand locally there are still required truck drivers, but I know there's a lot of interstate, a lot of interstate truck driving required. So let's talk about truck drivers, shall we? Now, first of all, it's only available in regional Australia. Now, so if you found a driving job in the CBD or Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne, well, good on you, but it's not gonna help at all. Secondly, it's been categorized not just in regional, it has to be within so-called the DAMA, the designated area migration agreement. That means the regional government or the state government, sometimes it's just a region, it's not a state, has entered an agreement with the federal Commonwealth government, that's the Department of Home Affairs or Department of Immigration, to give out this incentive for that region to identify the right employer, the business that requires certain job, and that occupation is actually in shortage. And then obviously they enter into this agreement, so the employer has to get a validity, they need to get a standard business sponsorships, and then they will sponsor you with some sort of concession. Usually the concession will be on the salary side. Salary not too much, because it's only going to be 10% of the TISMIT. That means about 65,000. Still very high, but it's good. And the concession on the age, and also concession on the English requirements. So let's jump into one of the state government and show you how that will actually work. So this is the migration services for the Western Australia. You may find this page by yourself. Just type in designated area migration agreement. That's so short. In short, they call it DAMA. So now, if we, it's a lot of contents there. It's very good. It's very the information there is pretty full, very good. But let's scroll down to the very bottom where there's a search engine there, and I have just punched in truck. So you see that truck driver general, skill level 4, in the metropolitan area, Perth, yes. So again, I'm saying in the CBD, Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, exclude those 3 major cities. All the other area is actually available, but not every region requires a truck drivers. So Perth does require, and it tells you can go through 482. 482 usually will go with the DAMA, 494 as well, or 186. That means you have gone through 482, and then you will transfer into a permanent residency. So the concession here is that you're going to be under 55. I'm not too sure if you are reach age of 50, you still want to be a truck driver there. That's just you know, with those age and long hours driving, it's just really painful. But perhaps it's just, you know, not many people want to do it. Assessment of skill migration qualification are assessed by the skill assessing authority, being least. So you got to get skill assessed, and you need to have English concession, at least IELTS 5.0 across 4 bands, and you need to have, if you're in Perth, you need to have at least 1 year work experiences, occupation in Perth metropolitan pathway, or occupation regional Western Australia. So either way, it can be done. So now, it looks pretty simple, isn't it? But the hardest part here is not your background. Okay, the hardest part here is to identify the right employer who is willing to go through with the right regional you know, government, whichever that is. Now we just look at is the Western Australia. You get their DAMA done. Okay, you need to have that done, and then to sponsor you. That means they employ you. That is the hardest thing to actually get done. Or the other part, if you want to see, you know, who can drive truck, I mean, you need to get a heavy truck license. It's different to a general automobile, obviously, but obviously there will be a lot of people put their hands up. However, it still require an employer, and that is the hardest part. And the employer need to go through the hurdle of talking to their regional government. You know, obviously find the right person. I mean, we do facilitate, and perhaps the employer would have their own lawyers or migration agent to help them to facilitate on getting communicated with the regional council, state governments, get the DAMA done, and then draft the nomination, and then the visa application for 482. That's generally how it is. So it's quite, it sounds pretty easy, but it's actually very complicated. It's complicated then a general 482 visa, because general 482 visa, all you need to do is you get the right agent or lawyers, and then you start application through the immigration portal. But DAMA, you need to go through the state government or regional government, and then the regional government will then need to liaise with you. It's a three-party agreement, and then also the other party is the Commonwealth government, that is the Department of Home Affairs or Department of Immigration. So that's where the complication comes. Now, Western Australia is not the only one. I think most of the regional states will also have that. So this is the South Australia. Again, the same. You punch in DAMA occupation, you see truck is there, truck driver is there. All the requirement is pretty similar. Now, one thing that you need to really you know, have at least the information there is that they need some sort of work experiences. Now, let's talk about work experiences. Obviously, they want an experienced driver. Otherwise, you go through interstate, especially in a large continental, you know, state of Australia. If you try to drive from south to north, I mean, the climates, the weather, and all the obstacles going through it, you gotta be a very experienced truck driver. Okay, it's not just a local drive. I mean, if you can find a local business, you just do a local drive. That'd be pretty easy. But I think local drivers will be pretty easy to be identified. But for interstate driver, that is the hard part. Or a driving that is gonna cost long hours. Perhaps not interstate. For example, if you're in Western Australia, because the whole west of Australia is Western Australia, but driving across different region in Western Australia, can you imagine that? That's crazy. That's huge. It takes a long, and you require to have those work experiences. So, question is, have you got those kind of experiences? Now, I'm not gonna be discriminative, but most of truck drivers around the world probably won't have, well, if they're experienced enough, they probably won't even have those pass those English requirements, or they wanted to relocate themselves from different, around the world to come to Australia, to another purely, different area. If they want to migrate, they wanted to migrate to somewhere else. But if you're a young person, would you have truck driving experience? That would be quite hard, wouldn't it? So it's actually very hard to find those kind of talent, though, and you got to be very committed to yourself. I mean, who were actually born and have the passion or interest to become a truck driver, a long-hour driver? It's just not common. That's what I wanted to say. So that's the hard part there. Now, the other one I also wanted to show you is the far north Queensland. That's in the Townsville, Cairns area. They also have the truck driver. If we scroll down to T, we've got truck driver. You can see that there. It's the same thing. You need to go through skill assessment from Vet Assess, and again they assess whether or not you have the experience. So and that's and also the Victoria is the same. So the regional Victoria, we're going down to T, truck driver. It's here we go. Okay, oops. Okay, here we go. Truck driver. Again, it's the same. So limitation on the age of 55. So coming back, yes, Australia has a demand and a shortage to have truck drivers, and most of them, as you can see, that's all in very, very regional, or should I say rural areas of part of Australia. And those truck drivers are usually required to go, if not interstate. For example, in Western Australia, you probably don't go interstate, but if you go inter region, that's a very long hours of driving, and the condition, and plus you need to find the right employer who is willing to employ you. Secondly, you need to have those work experiences. If you don't have a work experience as a truck driver, you won't be able to pass the skill assessments. Despite that, you probably can pass the English and also the age, but your work experiences. So it's not just going to, for example, going to Adelaide or Perth and just find a local company, and you found that they have trucks there, and you just put your hands up, say I want to be a truck driver. Then you probably will get a visa there. It's not gonna work that way. It's actually quite hard to actually get it. So far, I understand there has been very limited people who actually got it, but not in mass, because as I had explained, you need to have the experience, pass the skill assessment, and you need to find the right employer, and the employer need to correlate with the local or state or regional government and plus the Commonwealth government to actually get that DAMA done, and then to actually nominate you and apply for a visa. That's where the complication is. Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.